And was there a time, I think you said you brought him to Georgia. Is that right? So he could see his kids? Yes, ma'am. Did you come by yourself or did you come with other members of the group? I didn't came down. When I brought him, I came down here with one of my other kids' mothers, and I came down here with another one of the members. While you were here in Atlanta with him, did he ever show you any place, an apartment complex? Where the kid supposedly got killed at. So who told you a kid was supposed to have gotten killed at an apartment complex? He told me he shot the dude. And did he say that the dude was a kid? I mean, no, he ain't necessarily just said the kid. I just addressed him as a kid, really. Now, you had said that you came down here to Georgia when you were on the run. Is that right? Yes, ma'am. And what were you on the run for? 3 attempt murders, 2 burglary charges. A lot of charges. So that's some of the charges that you pled guilty to in 2015. Is that right? Yes, ma'am. So did first Osiris come up to Greenville? Is that right? Yes, ma'am. And then later, you came down to Georgia for kind of the same purpose? Yes, ma'am. And where did you stay when you came to Georgia? I stayed with some other people that hadn't already came down this way that came from our city in Greenville. Did you ever go to Spike's house? Yeah, we went to the spot before. We went over there before. Now, you call it the spot. Why did you call it the spot? Because it was a tattoo place, as well as this is where other brothers would be at. When you say other brothers, what do you mean? Growth and development. Were there often people there? Yes. Mr. Sullivan, I'm going to walk up and show you something. That's Government's Exhibit 780. Do you recognize that person? That's KK. Your Honor, it's been previously admitted. Ms. Etienne, could we see Government's Exhibit 780, please? So you recognize this person as KK? Yes, ma'am. And how did you meet him? A lot of people know him. But I met him when I came down here one time before because a lot of us rap. So that was like the main connection, really outside the growth and development situation, was rap thing. So, did you know him to be a member of growth and development? Yes, ma'am. Did he hold a POA? I don't know it, but I'm sure he probably did. Why do you say that? Because he was mainly just the way he moved and the way he talked and he did things, just basically. He was always in the forefront of a spokesman person. Like, I probably can't do I'm probably not allowed to do if I had to do my assumption, I would place him in the level of an enforcer. It's like, he called the shots, and when he did what he did, people listened. People gravitated around him. I don't know if it would actually be for the fact of the matter that he rapped, or he wasn't an ordinary he wasn't an OSM. So, OSM just being kind of a member? Yeah, he wasn't an OSM. Miss Sewell, may we have the overhead projector, please? Yes, ma'am. Mr. Sullivan, I'm going to show you what's been previously admitted as Government's Exhibit 98. Do you recognize that image on Government's Exhibit 98? Same thing as on my back. That's the same star that's on your back? So is that a symbol of the organization, as you call it? It's one. What are some other ones? A staff. I'm sorry, what? A staff. A pitchfork. Have you ever heard the term throwing up rakes? That would probably be different term for somebody else. Like, I say a staff, they would probably say a rake. Have you seen a document like Government's Exhibit 98 on page 7, which is entitled 17 Street Laws? Yes, ma'am. And where have you seen a document like Government's Exhibit 98 on page 7? I done passed these out before. Basically, what we consider these as is the 5 mandatories. You consider them... I'm sorry, what? The 5 mandatories in our state. We pass these out basically to the newer people who will come into the nation. This would be some of the first things that you would learn under the 720 concept. This is newer to a lot. See, when I came in, it was under a 360 concept. We didn't get this. We got things that were different. Would be 10 Commandments, 16 street laws, and so forth and so forth. But now, under this new concept, everything then was laws and policies. But under this concept, under the 720 concept, they get things like this, but they don't get things with the 10 Commandments and so forth and so forth. So a lot of times when people refer back and they say, yo, go by laws and policies, they only can go by the laws and policies for what they know under the 720 concept, which would be things like this right here. Okay, so you would consider this a law and policy. If you were a new member, this would be the law and policy. Am I right about that? Yeah. Under the 720 concept, this would be a law and policy. So let's look at the first law in the law and policies. It says that no member shall give any information or discuss any matters that concern another member or the function of the organization to an individual that is not a standing member of our special group. Are you familiar with that law and policy? Yes, ma'am. What does that mean? That means that I better protect my neck after I leave here for the rest of my life. Because you're not supposed to talk to police? No. Number 12. So number 12 says, all members shall aid and assist one another in all righteous endeavors. Are you familiar with that rule? Yes, ma'am. So when Osiris Kelly came to Greenville and asked for food and a place to stay, was that aid and assistance? Yes, ma'am. And when you were on the run from those attempted murders and the aggravated assault and the burglaries, and you came down to Georgia, was that aid and assistance? No. What was that? That was just me going to people that I knew from my city that I paid my way through. Okay. But when Osiris Kelly went up to Greenville and didn't know anybody, that was aid and assistance? To me, yeah, that's aid and assistance because you did not know nobody here and we took you in. Now, it says righteous endeavors. Is killing a kid in an apartment complex a righteous endeavor, Mr. Sullivan? No, ma'am, it's not. Let's look at number 2. No member shall consume or inject any drug that is addictive, crack, cocaine, etc. Anyone caught violating must be reported. Now, is that a rule about taking drugs? True. Yes, ma'am. Does growth and development have a rule about selling drugs, though? I would say yes, because I would say yes. The reason being, you got to know and understand. I ain't here to defend the situation. Growth and development didn't tell people to shoot people. It didn't tell people to go sell drugs or do this or do that. A lot of things now is out of context from where they actually supposed to be. This was supposed to have been the purpose of switching and going from a 360 to a 720 aspect of things. It taught you how to actually conduct yourself, on a different level of doing things. Us, as people, we choose to do things and disrupt things how we choose to do things. You know what I mean? Nowhere in the bylaws are you going to see any of these laws and policies is going to tell somebody to go murder somebody if they did do this, or to go sell this or go sell that. Basically, it's not the fact of the matter that the Growth and Development Nation is telling people to do that. People do this on their own. When Osiris Kelly shot that kid and then came up to Greenville, and you guys gave him food and a place to stay, and then a ride down here to see his kids, was that aid and assistance? Yes. Was that aid and assistance for the nation? When you say nation, what you mean by nation? Well, you're the one who uses the word nation, Mr. Sullivan. Because that's what we're a part of. What nation is that? Growth and Development Nation. When you brought him down here, was that part of the nation? Ain't nobody tell me to do it, but yeah, he was a bro. Right, he was a bro. Did you call up the governor and say, you've got to kick this guy out of the nation? No, I didn't. And so the number 1 rule, the rule about silence and secrecy. If you're not supposed to talk to the cops, then there must be some criminal activity. right? What are you not talking to the cops about? I could answer that question, but I will probably get in trouble for that. In trouble from whom? This is the reason why I say this right here. It's a lot of things that, a lot of secret organizations and things that go on in this world as a whole that people don't expose to society. But if you go and ask them about it, they still don't tell about it neither if you're not a member. There's plenty of societies in the world. So therefore, it's like, that question could go in two ways. I'm not trying to defend the situation now, but it's kind of like, well, let me ask you about this question, though. Alright. Not the world in general. I'm talking about the Gangster Disciples, Growth and Development. Did Growth and Development have a rule about not talking to the police? Of course. Is that partly because members were engaged in objection to leading? Overruled. Is that part of the reason is because members were engaged in things like shooting kids in apartment complexes? I ain't gonna say shooting part of the reason. It's gonna be part of the reason, period, that you're not supposed to go talk to the police because things does happen. And some of the things that happen are like murders and drug dealing? Could be. Thank you. No further questions.